I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Guilford Selectboard. It is 6:30 p.m. and I'd like to recognize the public. We have Linda Hecker and Marley Rubinowitz with us. Thanks for being here this evening. And the rules of procedure we can skip for now because we all know what those rules are. They govern the conduct of the Select Board and the public in their interactions. And are there any additions to the agenda?
No.
Okay, then are there any changes to the agenda order? Excellent. The minutes, we have two sets of minutes to approve. There is the regular meeting of May 29th, 2019. I assume that you've all read the minutes. And do I have a motion to approve them or not?
Are we doing them one at a time?
Yes, would be the May 29th meeting, the regular meeting of the Select Board.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I am abstaining just because I wasn't
Okay,
at the
thank you
meeting.
very much. Now we move to the minutes of the special meeting of June 4th, and that special meeting, for both the interest of the public and those who may be viewing, was regarding as I recall, the purchase of a generator for the town offices.
No.
No, that wasn't what
No.
the special
What-
meeting
The
was.
the special
Sorry.
meeting was
Was
to
about
reissue the
the request for
RFPs.
Oh, the request for proposal for highway work. Yes, that's what it was for. And it was a very short meeting. And do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I make a motion to
And I shall
accept.
second it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Danny's not here, I guess, for the highway update. So we'll have to put that on hold because we don't have Peter here either. And both of those are usually experts in what's going on with the highway. Now we're on to new business, and here is our Conservation Commission with an update. Thank
Yeah,
you.
two representatives. So we have been busy, and I think one of the most noteworthy things about what we've been doing a lot of this year and intend to keep doing is collaborations, both with other town groups like Recreation Committee, the Energy Committee, and so on, and also with regionally based groups that share our conservation interests. So, but current projects and our future plans include maintaining the Weeks Forest Carriage Trail and extending it. And we just got a note that a tree fell down somewhere on the trail, and so we'll be attending to that really soon. We're in the middle year of our 3-year natural resource inventory project led by Patty Smith, and it's more important than ever now with Act 171, forest fragmentation, that we have a really clear inventory of natural resources, including things like wildlife corridors. So that's good. I'm going to go through a bunch of things, and then I'm going to ask Marley to talk about the emerald ash borer, since she's our expert. So we supported the FAC, the Flood and Effluvial Hazard Ordinance, and helped increase public awareness about flood resilience in spite of the defeat of the ordinance in March. So, but it was disappointing, but I feel like it really raised awareness of what people ought to be doing on their local properties. We've been involved in a specific potential conservation issue of a property, a very valuable and historic property that's for sale in Guilford, the so-called the Carpenter House or the Governor's Mansion, which is for sale. And we've been trying to be proactive in figuring out ways, if there are any ways to make sure that the land, the trails there that have been open to the public for many years continue to be open to the public.
Could you tell us where that is?
Sure, it's on the top of Carpenter Hill.
Martin Feldstein's
Martin
house.
Feldstein's property, the salmon-colored, beautiful mansion with, so it has historic, aesthetic, architectural, and significance for the buildings, and the property is vast. It's 263, 3 acres, goes all the way over to Stage Road, and includes lots of trails that people have been using with their permission for many years.
Did you determine that that's on the market?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is on the market, and in March, we wrote to the Feldsteins asking if they were interested in talking to us about potential conservation easements, and they finally wrote back and said no. But a group of local people and organizations, including the Planning Commission, the Historical Society, and the Conservation Commission, are continuing to meet and see whether there's any way we can intervene on behalf of that property. It's an expensive property for sale. It's $895,000, but the house itself would require something like the taxes are $15,000 a year. I mean, the yearly upkeep, it's beyond the resources of any conceivable local group to buy and maintain that property. But we're trying to figure out ways that we might ask, like the Landmark Trust Foundation. We've asked them to look at it and think of other ways that we might intervene, assuming it gets sold, ways that we might very early on connect with the new owners and work with them on the idea of, don't post your land right away, the historical and community significance of the property.
Thank you.
And also agricultural.
And right,
The
oh
Clark
yeah,
farm depends on it for
Yeah.
they
That's
said
right.
30% of their forage.
right.
Oh,
So-
really?
Yeah. So when we had our showing last week with Tom Dallin, everybody knows from Peter Havens, the Clarks were there, the abutter, Art, somebody or other who now owns the Blair Farm, and representatives from the Historical Society and the Conservation Commission. So back to collaborations, annual meetings with the Planning Commission and then the Energy Committee. We've started meeting with them once a year because we have many areas of shared interest, and we've been collaborating with the Recreation Committee and Guilford Cares to offer walks in the Weeks Forest and other places. So for instance, next Tuesday, I'm leading a walk around Sweet Pond, which is, by the way, under construction. And
Yay.
Have they started again?
Oh, yeah. And they hope, I sent an email to I posted on their Facebook page, should be ready for refilling by the end of the summer.
However, somebody told me, they said, why did the Conservation Commission take out that dam?
Yeah.
So we want to clarify that.
Oh.
We didn't take the dam out. We're not
Oh.
putting the dam
Oh
back.
my God, who thought that?
And the group, it was a citizen.
Yeah, a citizen.
And the group, the Sweet Pond, Friends of Sweet Pond was not part of the commission. So essentially the town has had nothing
Right.
really to do
Right.
with
And the
it.
Friends of the Sweet Pond didn't do it either, it was the state.
The state,
Well,
yeah.
they kind of talked to,
Well, we
made
were
sure that our
advocates.
representative didn't forget about us, let's
Yeah,
put it that
that's
way.
right.
Who was very active and he was wonderful. But
Yeah.
the Conservation Commission, there's some overlap with those people, but it's not one of our, technically one of our projects.
No,
Just to clarify that.
Yeah.
Even though some of the overlap is present company.
Right.
Exactly.
Three of the members of the Sweet Pond Committee are right here. So we have representation in regional groups like the Green River Watershed Alliance, the new Wyndham Habitat Connectivity Project, which is addressing the kind of Act 171 concerns on a regional and interstate scale, and Vermont Woodlands Association, and I've been appointed a citizen commissioner to the Wyndham Regional Commission on the Natural Resource Committee. So we try to keep really alert to things that are that impact our whole region in terms of natural resources, and to that. And we hosted the joint regional meeting of the area conservation groups in March. That happens once or twice a year. And we supported establishing the Wyndham Conservation Events at gmail.com, which is a region-wide listing of conservation events with a monthly newsletter and a website that people can access to know what's happening in, to educate the public about important conservation issues. And I'm going to turn it over to Morley to talk about the Emerald Ash Borer,
Okay.
which is this stuff right here.
Well, you know what emerald ash borer is, and then it's probably coming and it's gonna kill a lot of ash trees. So there was an event in Putney recently with
Last
a lot
week.
of ash tree identification and discussion of of that. We
We
have,
co-sponsored it. so,
yeah, right, okay. So we are sponsoring a training on July 15th, and we need volunteers from the town to become trained how to use these little GPS devices, and then to walk probably as many of the roads as possible, especially the class 3 and higher roads, to assess the condition of the ash trees along the way. There's some that are really already almost ready to fall over, and ash trees in particular, when they're dead, are very brittle and dangerous to work on. So one thing I learned when I went to the Putney event is that, the ash borer comes in, there's very little, and then they bloom, and then they kill all the trees, and then there's less. So the time frame in which you have most of the trees dead is a very short time frame. And if we want to try to spread the costs out, which is what our plan is, we have to start early on, because it's more expensive to cut them after they're clearly dead. It can be socially difficult to cut them when they still look potentially alive. But so anyway, so we're trying to do this inventory so that we can help the town and the road crew. Next year, we're going to have to ask for a budget for tree removal above and beyond what they usually do, and they bid that out. They don't risk their own people; they get professionals to do it. But it's a dangerous kind of thing, and the ash trees, if you don't cut them, they tend to just crash and shatter. And if you get them early, you can still use the wood for firewood or lumber. But once they're dead, they turn into, as they said, the consistency of styrofoam. They're useless. So we did the session on June 5th. That was in Putney. We have the July 15th volunteer training, and then we'll be doing identifying trees, and it will be on to help the road crew. They'll be identified on this computer thing, and we'll figure out how to get them interested in that. And then we will help them assess and create a budget for it for next
So
year.
just to be clear, so the work that we're doing with the road crew affects trees that are on public right-of-ways, roads, and Guilford property. And those are the ones that we'll be hiring out somebody to manage. But we also hope to do more information sessions for landowners, because they will have to each handle their ash tree issues themselves. And we don't want, some people may panic and say, I'll cut them all down before they die, but it's also important to try to identify a few of the trees that may survive, so that we can capitalize on their genetic strain to eventually develop a resistant ash tree. So.
Yeah,
Is
so-
there a grant initiated for the,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, we have a grant for the training and for buying
And
the
the
GPS
good.
devices.
Which Marley and Bill assisted
Yeah.
Peter.
Yeah,
in.
Peter.
Yeah.
Peter wrote
So,
it.
are you ready for questions?
Yeah, I just want to say we're
Yeah.
available to private landowners. A couple have approached me, and so we're available. There's no mandate or anything for private landowners to cut anything. If they're in UVA, they can talk to their forester.
Yeah.
So the town, if that's a concern, the town has no interest on trees on private property, in case anybody asks you about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, how many volunteers do you think it would take to do this whole town inventory?
10.
Yeah, we're hoping 8 to 10, but
Yeah.
a few more would be good. I forget.
10, yeah, somewhere between 8 and 15, yeah.
So if you want to volunteer,
Yeah.
or send someone over.
Yeah.
I mean, the Conservation Commission itself doesn't have enough members to
Yeah.
really do it all, so. And we
No, I
have,
was just thinking about, recruitment ideas before maybe the high school is out, but
yeah, if you have some ideas, let us know. 'Cause
sure, I can tell them
Nobody's
to.
volunteered since we had the article in the Gazette. We haven't had a groundswell of interest.
Yeah.
Although I've had questions about personal property.
So I sent this in writing to Peter. I didn't realize he was on vacation, but there's like a written version of what we just presented.
Terrific.
Thank you, what a
Yeah, we appreciate
splendid
the
report.
update.
Wow, you guys are really busy.
Yeah, we are. We are
I mean,
busy. Oh, we have a new member, we should mention, we have a
Oh,
new
that's
member,
right.
Steve Sosinski.
And we voted on it.
We voted on it.
Oh, thank you.
Yay.
Yes,
That's
that's
wonderful.
excellent.
He's in.
I mean, and
Yay.
it really is important for everybody in town to know how active and insightful, you know, our commissions are, and that the groups are working together. And it's hard work, but it makes it exciting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and we welcome other people that want to become
yeah.
commission members.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate your
guys.
time tonight.
That was heartwarming.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item of business is the 2020 Grants and Aid Letter of Intent, which I have here. And this, we need a motion for us to participate in the Grants and Aid program, the new Grants and Aid program. The DEC has set aside $2.9 million to support implementation under this program. And we need to have this letter signed by July 3rd to be eligible to participate in the Grants and Aids program.
And so, could you just say very generally what this grant is for
This-
our audience?
Yeah, this relates to the availability of a third year of funding for the state for road projects. By signing this, the select board will signal our intent to apply for a grant for the coming year. We've been successful in the past 2 years, and we weren't sure that the state would provide funds again this year, but they are doing that. So that's what the Grants and Aid program is.
And there's a 20% match
Yes.
that we would be responsible for any
So
grant
this
that's
doesn't,
received,
this
correct?
doesn't join us to any particular action, it's just to be participating in the program and to write a proposal, and whether the proposal would be accepted or not is another story altogether. So it's just to participate in.
But I'd like to make a
Apply
motion
for it.
to
Please do.
participate in this
And
grant.
I shall
Right.
second it.
Thank you, do I, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, it's carried then, very good. And let's see, we'll just see who needs to sign this.
It's a letter of intent, isn't it?
I think Sheila could sign this because it needs to be signed. We can ask Sheila to sign that.
Oh, on behalf of the select board?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have Sheila do that. Okay, the next, are we all set?
Yes, yes, I
Everything's
think so.
good? Okay. The next is the Lister pay memo, and we have a letter from Penny, and I'll read it. It says, "It has come to my attention that the newest elected lister on March 5th, 2019 was paid in the month of May under the old rate. I would like the select board's permission and blessing to change the hourly rate accordingly with retroactive pay for the hours worked in May to go into effect immediately."
So moved.
Is there a second?
I shall.
All those in favor?
Wait,
Aye.
don't you have to ask if there's any discussion?
Is there any discussion?
No,
Okay.
but I mean, it's just.
Yes, you're right,
That's pretty
Maria.
pro
No, thank you
forma,
for
yes.
protocol.
And we've already approved the memo. Did I ask, are all those in
No,
favor?
we didn't all say aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Our next order of business is the fire warden appointment. And let me just read you a little bit about this. The state makes this appointment but takes into consideration the select board's recommendation. In the past, the warden has been Dan Stoughton and the deputy has been Mike Kachuk for a variety of reasons, but primarily because Dan has not been as active in the last several years. Peter and Sheila recommend, Sheila the chair of the board, that the appointments be reversed. We were waiting for Mike's response to the proposed switch. We haven't heard from him yet, but it's my suggestion that we vote on this motion to appoint a fire warden with Mike Kachuk as the warden and Dan as the deputy, and depending on the hearing from Mike, dependent on Mike's response in the affirmative. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried unanimously. And this we do have to sign. So we need 2 board members. Yes. Do I have one board member? Do you want to sign here? Sheila,
I'd be
Sheila has
happy
to sign
to.
it, but I need you,
But
and I need
Sheila-
another one there. We'll give that to Sheila to sign. But it will make it easier for Sheila
Nice.
if we have 2 board members' signature at the time.
Do you want someone else to, or would you?
Happy Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Is there room for Veranda? Oh, sure, there's room for you, Veranda. Would you like to
Oh, I
sign?
would love to sign it.
Let's sign it.
The next order of business is the reserve fund for the Recreation Committee, and I'll explain with that. Over the past several years, any funds left over in both the Planning and the Conservation Commission budgets have been rolled over into a reserve fund. We did not do this same for the Rec Commission, and we would like to rectify that situation, so I need a motion that
Any funds that are
Any
not
funds
used
that are
within
not
the
used by
fiscal
the-
year that they've been initiated will then carry to the next year. I would like to make that.
I would like to make that because I'm the
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
liaison to the
Please.
Recreation
Would you make that
Commission.
motion then?
Yes, I move that we allow the Recreation Commission to roll over extra funds from year to year.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
No?
They're a great commission and
They're
they
doing a
work
great
very,
job.
very hard.
Yes,
Very
they are
active.
doing a very active, I mean,
It's
they're-
awesome.
they have a new website, and it's causing a lot of activity and
Very
excitement.
positive.
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion is carried unanimously, thank you very much. Okay, the next order of business is the warrants, and Gordon, can we depend on you for
Oh, sure, I'd
that?
be happy to, Richard. So I'll make a motion to pay the following warrants, payroll week ending 6/2/19 for $11,155.44. Payroll week ending 6/9/19 for $6,064.07. Expense warrant number 1923 for $39,257.71. And expense warrant FW23 for $177 for a grand total of $56,654.22. And I will say simply out of expense warrant 1923 for $39,000, the biggest piece for that was installing a new septic system here, which I guess has been finalized, as well as some chloride purchasing for our summer activities.
Thank you.
Did that have anything to do with the unclear water, do we know, or was that just a
Nothing.
separate issue?
Separate issue.
Yeah.
An antiquated, older system, I believe, that needed to be completed.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. There is one communication, the next order of business on the agenda is a communication, and I have that. And this is a notice to taxpayers of change in an appraisal of real estate. Title 32, and I'll read it. Title 32 Vermont Statutes Annotated, Section 411G reads as follows. A person who feels aggrieved by the action of the listers and desires to be heard by them shall, on or before the day of the grievance meeting, appear in person or by his agents or attorneys. Upon the hearing of a grievance, the parties thereto may submit such documentary or sworn evidence as shall be pertinent thereto. The grievance meeting, and this is the important part of this communication, will be held at the Town of Guilford Lister's office on Thursday, June 20th, 2019 at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Please call 802-254-6857, extension 101, to schedule an appointment if needed.
Do you want to repeat the date of that just for
I
our
shall repeat
studio
the date.
audience?
The studio audience, Thursday, June 20th, 2019, at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the town office.
Is this also in the newspaper, or is this the only announcement of it?
Oh, no,
Every landowner receives
Yeah, I got it in
their
the
tax,
mail.
property tax letter that goes out from the town, so I don't know if it's anywhere else or not, Michael. If
I would guess there is, I can't be
Yeah.
sure of that, but Peter is usually very good about particularly statutory matters in regard to, this is the law and we need to make it public.
So Richard, before we adjourn, I just thought we should note the death of Dr. John Dickson since our last select board meeting and, officially send our condolences to his family.
Yes,
He was
Very
a
sad.
longtime Guilfordite,
absolutely.
and Jake is a really active Guilford volunteer, former teacher, they're solid people and it's a loss for all of us.
Thank you, Miranda.
Miranda.
Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'd love to make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion?
Hooray!
All those in favor?
Aye.
That also carries unanimously. The meeting is adjourned. The
Okay.
next select board meeting, however, is on the 24th of June at 6:30 PM in this very office.
Thank you, Richard.
Terrific, good job.
Okay.
Make sure
Now,
you
Becky-
sign it.